A very good morning to all. I am Mr. Swapnil Sazne from Department of Mechanical Engineering, Sharad Institute of Technology Polytechnic, and I am going to teach the subject thermal engineering. Thermal engineering is one of the specialization branch of mechanical engineering. Even in our day-to-day life, we can see many applications related to this subject. If anyone is interested for higher studies after completing their diploma, then during the higher studies we can see the same subject, just it will have a little bit different name. It is called as applied thermodynamics. So if you are going to study this subject, it is very important that you should have very strong knowledge of the basic concepts related to this subject. So we will clear all these concepts in during this lecture. So before starting, first we will see why we are going to study this subject, or what is the importance of studying this subject. So we will see now the importance of this subject. First point, it is one of the core branch of mechanical engineering. As earlier I said that thermal engineering, it is one of the specialization branch of this mechanical engineering. We will see many applications of this. The second importance, we can say that if the students want to work with various power producing and power absorbing devices such as boiler, turbine, compressor, IC engine, refrigerators, etc. So the knowledge of this subject is very much essential. The thermal power plants, we know these power plants are used for electricity production. So these thermal power plants are contributing major share for electricity production in our country. So this subject will give lot of knowledge related to thermal power plants for electricity production. And last but not the least, to determine the performance of all the devices which are mentioned above, such as boiler, turbine, compressor, we can study how to determine their performance. So these are the some of the few points given to understand what is the importance of this subject. The weightage of this subject, now this subject is included in the third semester of diploma mechanical engineering. So we will see what is the weightage given to this subject for this semester. So as given by MSBT, this is the weightage of the subject. Here we can see that there will be a theoretical paper of 70 marks. The paper will be for 3-hour duration. Then the 30 marks will be given as follows. Here you can read out. They have given that out of 30 marks, the 10 marks are for the micro projects which will be submitted by the students, and the remaining 20 marks will be given based on the average of the two tests which we are taking during the semester, that is unit test 1 and unit test 2. So that 30 marks will be contributed by these. Apart from this, there will be also an end semester exam of 25 marks, and as well as 25 more marks will be allotted for the manual completion and submission. So in this way, the total weightage for this subject will be about 150 marks. Now we'll see what are the topics covered under this subject. So there will be total 6 chapters in this subject. The first one is the fundamentals of thermodynamics, and it is having weightage of 8 marks. The second one is ideal gases and ideal gas process. It is having some major weightage, that is 14 marks. Next is steam and steam boilers. It is also having weightage of 14 marks, and it is the lengthiest chapter out of all the 6 topics which we are going to study. Next is steam turbine. It is having much more, it is the topic with the highest weightage, that is 16 marks. Next is the steam condensers. This chapter will be for 10 marks. And the last chapter is heat transfer and heat exchangers. So these are the 6 topics which we are going to study under this subject. Before starting with the first subject, I would like to give a little bit information from all these 6 topics which we are going to study during this semester. So if we see related to first topic, that is fundamentals of thermodynamics, then in this subject we are going to see the basic concepts like what are the pure substances, what are the types of system, what are the different properties of system such as extensive and intensive properties. We will also study the concept of heat and work, what is actually the difference between heat and work, what is the energy, what are its types, and also the main part of this subject is the laws of thermodynamics. So we will see all the laws of thermodynamics, that is zeroth law, first law, second law, thermodynamics, and also its application. So we will cover this in the first topic, that is fundamentals of thermodynamics. The second chapter is ideal gases and their processes. So in this topic we will study what are the various laws related to the gases. These laws are nothing but Boyle's law, Charles' law, and the most important part of this chapter will be the ideal gas process. So we will see what are the various types or how to represent this process on PVTS diagram. Like for example, here I have given one system. These are the various devices in which we are producing some power or work. So whatever the process is going, we can represent this entire process in a graphical method, like in this as shown in PV and TS diagram. So for each element, how to represent this process graphically, we will study in this chapter. Also we will study how to determine work, heat, energy, enthalpy change, entropy change in this chapter. This chapter we will also see some numericals during this chapter. The next chapter, steam and steam boilers. Here I have just given one example of a boiler. So in this chapter we are going to study what are the various types of boiler, such as what is the meaning of water tube boiler, what is the meaning of fire tube boiler. We will also study their construction and working, how these boilers work, and various applications where the boilers have been installed. We will start this chapter. This is very interesting topic, but before going to steam boiler, we will first study how steam is formed. That we have to study the concept of latent and sensible heat, because up till now most of us only think that we are giving some amount of heat to the water and that liquid is converted into steam. So we are going to study that in detail, that how there is generation of steam. Then as earlier said, we will see the construction, working of different types of boilers. Along with this, we will also study what is the concept of boiler mountings and accessories, what are different parts. As here we can see there are many names or different parts we can observe here. We will going to study this in this chapter. The most important thing that will be included in this is the IBR Act, that is Indian Boiler Regulation Act. We will also study that, and also what are the methods of energy conservation in boiler. So this knowledge is very much essential, because even in thermal power plants we can see the boilers are used, or even in dairies we can see the boilers are used, or even in sugar factory we can see there is the application of boiler. So we will see all these points in this topic. The next chapter is steam turbines. So this chapter we will study the very construction and working of various types of turbine. So basically we are going to study much more detail about the two types of turbine, that is what is impulse turbine and reaction turbine. So I have just given here a figure. This is nothing but a steam turbine. So we will see how these turbines actually work, and these are the steam turbines are actually work producing devices, whereas the boiler were the energy absorbing devices. So in steam turbine we will see how energy is produced or how work is obtained from these turbines. So apart from these turbines, we will also study some more concepts related to turbine, such as what is the concept of compounding, what is bleeding of steam, or regenerative feed heating. Also, we will see what are the losses in steam turbine. After turbine, we will also study some points related to nozzle, because the nozzle is an important part prior to turbine. So we will also see what is the concept of nozzle, what are its types in the same chapter. So this will complete our fourth chapter. Then we will see the next chapter is steam condensers. In steam condensers, we are going to study again what are the various types of steam condensers, so what are their types, again their applications, as well as here we are going to study again it is having two main types, that is jet condenser and surface condenser. Then it will have further there is subtypes. So we will see in this chapter what is the application or use of steam condensers in industry. Along with this, we will going to study cooling towers. So here we can see now the image of these are nothing but the cooling towers. So we will also study about these cooling towers, their construction, working, as well as their types. So this will complete with the fifth chapter. Last chapter, it is heat transfer and heat exchangers. So heat exchangers, it might be somewhat similar to the earlier chapter, that is steam condensers. Here the main point will be heat transfer. Here in this diagram we can see that conduction, convection, radiation. So right now I will not go much more detail with these concepts. In this chapter we will study what is actually the meaning of conduction, convection, radiation. These are the basic points which you might have heard during your 10th standard also. This chapter is also very important because heat and mass transfer, this is a particular subject which you can also see in if you are going for higher studies. So you are just going to study the basic of this topic. Later on you have to give an entire subject on this topic only if you are going for higher studies. So this is the syllabus of this subject. I will give you three reference books. These reference books you can see here. First one is Basic Thermodynamics by P.K. Nath. The second book is Textbook of Thermal Engineering by R.S. Kurni and J.P. Gupta. All these books are available in our library. And the third book is Thermal Engineering by R.K. Raj. So now we will start with our first topic, that is fundamentals of thermodynamics. Before starting with this topic, we will first know the course outcome of this topic. So here is the course outcome of this topic. After going through this topic, you will be able to apply laws of thermodynamics to devices based on thermodynamics. So we will study various laws of thermodynamics in this chapter. Right. The first point is pure substance. So we will see first the definition of pure substance. So pure substance is one which is having uniform and invariant chemical composition. For example, the elements and chemical compounds are pure substances, such as if we consider water, stainless steel, we are considering them as a pure substance, as the H2O molecules, if they are taking water in some vessel, then we can see that the
chemical composition at every point will be H2O. So we are assuming it to be pure substance. The one most important thing is that the pure substances practically or naturally they are not available, but we assume them to be as pure because in every substance we can find some kind of impurities. Mixtures are not pure substances. Example, humid air. As we know that air is a mixture of several gases such as oxygen, nitrogen, carbon, etc. But still, this is an exception if we consider only air. And there is a lot of difference between air and humid air. Humid air means it will be having a lot amount of moisture content in it, whereas simply air is nothing but mixture of several gases which I mentioned earlier. So exception is air, and air is treated as pure substance though it is a mixture of gases. So keep this in mind. Next, we will see the fundamental concepts and some definitions. So we'll start with thermodynamics. The name of the subject is thermal engineering, but it is very much similar to this term thermodynamics. So thermodynamics is nothing but it is a science of relation between the heat, work, and properties of the system. In other words, we can also have some other definition of this thermodynamics. If we divide this term into two parts, that is thermo and dynamics, then this term thermo is related with temperature or heat, whereas the dynamics is related to motion. And wherever there is motion, we will see their work. So thermodynamics is related with heat and motion or work. So next definition is system. The system is nothing but it is a small part of universe which is under thermodynamic consideration. For example, if we consider an engine, so this engine will be a small part in which we are going to study the detail, means what actually process happens in it. That is thermodynamics. That is how much heat is invested in the form of fuel and how much work we are obtaining from that engine. Next definition, surrounding. Surrounding is nothing but the part of universe which is other than system, which is close enough to the system. So here is the definition is given. The rest of the universe outside the system, close enough to the system to have some perceptible effect on the system, is called as a surrounding. Next, boundary. So boundary is the thing which differentiates the system and surrounding. So the definition as given, the surface or it may be an imaginary line which separates the system from the surrounding. Here is the diagram as the definitions I explained earlier. Here we can see the system, surrounding, and boundary. So the system, this is the system. It is a part of universe in which we are going to study the thermodynamics at this part. This part is the surrounding. It is also the part of universe, but other than the system. So this new part will contribute or will explain. It is related to system. This pink part is related to the surrounding, and we can see a dark blue line, which is nothing but boundary. This is an imaginary line which separates the system from the surrounding. And last definition is universe. If we combine all these parts together, that is system, surrounding, and boundary, then this all together is called as universe. So the universe is nothing but the system, surrounding, and the boundary all together as universe. Now we'll see what are the types of system. I repeat, system is nothing but it is a part of universe which is under thermodynamic consideration. Now we will see the types of system. There are actually three types of system. First is the closed system. The second one is the open system, and last is the isolated system. We will see these all types one by one. First we will see the closed system. So the closed system is one which does not allow mass to cross the boundary, but there can be heat transfer across it. That is, the system in which no mass is permitted to cross the system boundary. That is, we would always consider system of constant mass. We do permit heat and work to enter or leave, but mass will be not allowed. So, in simple words, we can just remember the closed system is one in which there will be no transfer of mass, but heat and work are allowed to enter or leave the system. So, this is the closed system. Here we have a diagram. We can see here this is the system. Heat is allowed to enter into the system. We can also see that the heat is allowed to leave out of the system. And here it is given that no mass is allowed to enter or leave the system. That is, in closed system, there will be no transfer of mass, but heat and work can be transferred across the system boundaries. So this is the closed system. We will see next open system. The open system is one in which we permit mass to cross the system boundary in either direction. We will see the diagram here. So in this open system, we can see here now here the mass is allowed to enter, as well as we can see the mass is also allowed to leave out of the boundaries. In along with mass, heat and work are also allowed to cross across the boundaries. So in short, we can say that open system is the system in which mass as well as heat and work are allowed to transfer. So this is the open system. We'll see next isolated system. The isolated system is one or the system in which there is no any interaction between system and the surrounding. Like we have seen in the first two types, open system and closed system, either mass or energy were transferring from system to surrounding. So in case of isolated system, the mass as well as any kind of energy is not allowed either to enter the system or to leave the system. So this is the isolated system. It is fixed mass and energy, and hence there is no mass and energy transfer across the system boundary, as I said. So this is the diagrammatic representation. Here we can see that there is no transfer of mass nor the transfer of heat or energy. Next, we can see here examples of all these types of system. So we have seen now the three systems. This is the open system. We can see here one glass of water is kept. If we consider that this is a lemon juice, then since the upper cover, the glass is not covered with any plate. So if we are considering is this open system, since the straw is inserted in it, so if the person can easily consume this juice, so the mass that is this juice will be removed out of the system, or it will travel towards this. It will come out of the system and enter into the surrounding. As well as we can see that many times when a cold water or cold juice is kept inside such type of glass, then we can see after some time there is some water moisture particles across this glass. So this is actually is due to condensation. The energy transfer takes place if it is kept even at room temperature. So here, since the mass is consumed by the person, as well as there is a transfer of heat in the form of moisture across the glass, we can say that this is the open type of system. The second type of system is the closed system, and here we can see the example that here we are having a water bottle and which is closed with a cap. So in this case, since the cap is closed, so the water cannot be consumed by the person without removing this cap. So in such case, we can say that there is the mass from this system cannot move from system to the surrounding due to this cap. Also, if we speak about the energy, so if we consider that this bottle is just removed from the refrigerator and kept aside, So after some time, we can see that the temperature of this bottle is equal to the room temperature. This is because energy in the form of heat will transfer in between the system and surrounding. So the closed system, why we are seeing this as closed system, since mass is not going to leave the system, just the energy is going to transfer. So this is the closed system. The third type of the system is the isolated system. In this diagram, we can see this is actually a thermos flask. Most of us have seen this application. Either tea or milk is kept in this thermos flask to store it at high temperature for a longer duration. If we add a hot fluid inside this, then and keep this cap closed, then for a longer duration we can maintain the temperature. So here, if the cap is closed, there will be no transfer of mass, nor there will be transfer of any energy. So this is the isolated system, and I think that is all the three types of system are well understood by all of you. Now we will see the properties of the system. Before going to properties of system, we should first know what is actually the meaning of property. So the property is defined as any measurable or observable characteristics of the system when it is in equilibrium. There are actually two types of properties of system. One is extensive and intensive. We will see these properties, but first I would like to give an example so that you can understand what is the actual meaning of this definition. So we will have one example now. Let us assume that there is a person named Anand, and some of characteristics are given. That is, his age is 62 years, his height is 1 meter, he is graduated from IIT Delhi, and he has excellent academics. So here in this example, we can see that the name of the person is the name of the given person is Anand, and there are at least four characteristics given. That is, his age 62, height is given 1 meter, he is graduated from IIT Delhi, and the last characteristics is that he is having excellent academics. Now, if we consider case one, if we assume that if Anand is missing, and if the police wants to find him, then out of these given all four characteristics, I would like to ask you all, what do you think that what are the most important characteristics for the police to find this person Anand? So this is the case one. So if Anand is missing, then out of these four characteristics, if we consider that his graduation from IIT Delhi, or he is having excellent academics, these characteristics are not important in this case, because to find Anand, it is very much essential for the police to know that what his age is and approximately what height he is having. So in this case, the important characteristics are his age and his height. If we consider another case, so if we now we will consider that Anand wants to get a job. So in this case, is to if he is searching for a job, then at that time the other two characteristics, that is his age or his height, are not more important characteristics as compared to his graduation, college, or his academics. So depending on cases, or as I explained in these two cases, we can see that for the same example, there are different important characteristics for that system. So I think that can understand what is the actual meaning of the property. So I will repeat the definition of property. It is the measurable or observable characteristics of the system when it is in equilibrium. So the characteristics such as pressure, volume, and there are many more properties we are going to study further. I hope that the meaning of property is now understood. Now we will see what are the intensive and extensive property. First is the intensive property. So this is the very important point. Most of the times this question is asked for 4 marks in the exams. Intensive property is a physical property which is not dependent on the size or mass of the system. So very important point. The properties which are not dependent on mass of the system, these are called as intensive property. So the examples for intensive properties are given. The pressure and temperature are the intensive properties. So if we consider one rod and if we are increasing the temperature of that rod, then that temperature will, the rise in that temperature will not be dependent on mass. Okay, so it is an intensive property. Similarly, this pressure is also an intensive property. I'll give some more examples of both intense and extensive property for the slides. If we see what is an extensive property, then extensive property, it is a physical property that is dependent on mass or size of that system. So it is exactly opposite to what we have studied in intensive property. So you just need to identify these definitions or remember these definitions, and I will give you one trick to remember this. Most of the times what actually happens, students make some silly mistake. They just write the definitions exactly opposite. I mean to say that in case of intensive property, they usually write in the paper that the properties dependent on mass are intensive, but this may lose your marks. So I will give you one trick. If when we say extensive property, you just consider the first two letters of this extensive, ex. Ex means you can consider that external parameter. So when the property is dependent on some external parameter, that is mass, then it is called as extensive property. In this way you can remember, otherwise the definitions are given. We will see the examples of this. Volume and mass, these are the examples of extensive property. So if the property is dependent either on size or mass, then we consider it to be extensive property. We'll see now a few more examples of this. Here you can see the intensive properties as well as the extensive properties. Boiling point, color, temperature, luster. Luster means the shine. How much the substance like a diamond, it shows a shiny appearance. It is called as luster. And then hardness. So all these are intensive properties. These are not dependent on mass of that substance. If we consider simply color, so if we are increasing the mass of that substance, then the color of that substance will not definitely change. So though all these examples are not dependent on mass, so we called it as intensive property. And in case of extensive properties, few more examples, that is volume, mass as given earlier. Next is size, weight, length. All these are either dependent on mass or size. These are the examples of intensive and extensive properties. Now we will see what is actually flow and non-flow process. First is the flow process. So the flow process is one in which fluid enters the system and leaves it after work interaction, which means that such process occurs in the system having open boundary, permitting mass interaction across the system boundary. In this diagram, you can see there is one inlet and one outlet given. So if we consider that here some mass of water is entering into the system, this is our system, and then the mass is leaving out of the system. At the same time, some heat is also added to the system, and we are getting some work output in the system. So what is the actual meaning of flow process? So in simple words, we can say that if a system is having inlet and outlet where the mass can enter into this system as well as leave out of this system, then such system is called as flow process. In this system or in this process, we will be there is definitely exchange of heat and work as shown in this diagram. So this is simply a flow process. We can also correlate this flow process with open system, as which we have studied in types of system just a few minutes back. So this is the flow process. In open system also, I have told you that there is a transfer of mass as well as there is exchange of heat and work too. So this flow process is very much related to this open system. Next is the non-flow process. It is the one in which there is no mass interaction across the system boundaries during the occurrence of process. So this non-flow process is very much similar to the closed system. Here the examples are given for this system. For an earlier example, we can consider boiler for the as an example of this flow process. If we consider boiler, we are going to study the boiler device in detail later. But still, right now, I would like to tell you this example as a flow process. So, in case of boiler, what actually happens? We are feeding the water into the boiler, and after also providing heat, so that this water is converted into steam, and this steam is removed out from this boiler and further provided to the turbine. So we can see that water is entering into the system. It is converted into steam with the help of heat, and this water is then removed out of system and provided to some other system. So here there is transfer of mass as well as there is transfer of heat. So this is nothing but the flow process. So you can, I have not mentioned your example, but still you can remember that the boiler is an example of flow process. So coming back to this non-flow process, as I said that in this case or in non-flow process, it is closely related with closed system. There will be no mass interaction across the system boundaries. And the examples here are given a cup of tea with lid cover on top, which continuously loses heat to the surrounding. So if we consider a cup of tea and if we place a plate on it, then due to that plate, the person cannot consume that tea, so that there will be no transfer of mass. But if we are keeping that tea on the table for a longer duration of time, then we can see that that after some time the temperature of that tea is reduced. So we can say that there is no transfer of mass, but there is transfer of energy as the temperature of tea has reduced. This is an example of non-flow process. Another example is given here: compression and expansion stroke of IC engine. Here in diagram we can see that this is a cylinder, this is a piston. Here these are the valves, two valves. One is the inlet valve and the other one is the outlet valve. During compression and expansion stroke of IC engine, these valves are actually closed. So whatever the air film mixture is inside this cylinder, it cannot move out of this system since the valves are closed. So during compression and expansion process, if these valves are closed, then whatever the work or heat interaction takes place, that is the example of non-flow process. Now we will further see some important terms. First is the specific volume. The specific volume of a substance is the ratio of its volume to its mass. Or in other words, we can say that it is the reciprocal of density. The SI unit of specific volume is meter cube per kg. Simply by this unit, you can also remember the definition of this term. Meter cube is nothing but it is the unit of volume, whereas kg it is the unit of mass. So mathematically we can write the specific volume in this way: volume to mass, or rho. This is the symbol of rho, that is nothing but density. So it is the reciprocal of density. Now the next definition is density. We will see what is actually the definition of density. As I said earlier, this is denoted by this symbol, which is called as a rho. It is defined as mass per unit volume. The SI unit of density is kg per meter cube. Again, by remembering this unit, you can also write the definition of density. Kg is the unit of mass, whereas meter cube is the unit of volume. So if we see these two definitions, exactly opposite units we can see here. This is the formula for density. Rho is equal to m by v, that is mass per unit volume. Now the next term is the temperature. Temperature is a physical property of matter that expresses the degree of hotness or coldness. Temperature is generally measured with a thermometer. I think most of us, we all have seen how the thermometer works. The unit of temperature is given below. The common scales or unit of temperature as Celsius scale. Earlier, this Celsius scale was denoted as centigrade, but nowadays we call it as Celsius, denoted by this way, degree Celsius. Next is the Fahrenheit scale, denoted by degree F, and the last scale used to measure the temperature is Kelvin scale. It is very important to remember that Kelvin is the SI unit for temperature. Next definition is pressure. So pressure is defined as force per unit area. The formula for pressure is F divided by force per unit area, and the unit for pressure is Pascal. Here I have given relation between Pascal and Newton meter. So from definition, we know that pressure is equal to force per unit area. The unit for force is Newton, and the unit of area is meter square. So 1 Newton per meter square is nothing but 1 Pascal, and this is the SI unit for pressure.